Welcome and thank you for standing by. At this time, all participants are in a listen-only mode until the question and answer session of today's conference. At that time, you may press star 1 on your phone to ask a question. I would like to inform all parties that today's conference is being recorded. If you have any objections, you may disconnect at this time. I would now like to turn the conference over to Leslie Malone. Thank you. You may begin.
Thank you, operator. Good afternoon and welcome to the American Community Survey webinar. Today's webinar is focused on helping you prepare for the release of the 2015 through 2019 ACS 5-year data products. If you would like to access the slides to follow along or to use as a reference after the webinar, they are posted on the ACS webpage, and the URL is available on the screen. Today's webinar is being recorded, and materials will be available through Census Academy in the recorded webinar section. Before I proceed, I'd like to say a special thank you to our American Community Survey respondents for their participation in the survey. Without them, we would not have these data, which are so important for America's communities. Welcome to the pre-release webinar for the 2015 to 2019 American Community Survey 5-year estimates. This is Leslie Malone, a Public Affairs Specialist with the Census Bureau's Public Information Office. This webinar is designed to help you prepare for the release of the 2019 ACS 5-year data products. Our first presenter today is Charles Gamble, a Supervisory Survey Statistician with the American Community Survey Office. At the end of his presentation, we'll open up the line for questions. After a brief question period, Tyson Weiser will give a demonstration of Data.census.gov. Tyson is a program analyst in the Center for Enterprise Dissemination. There will be an opportunity for news media and others to ask questions after his demonstration. Before we get started, I want to quickly outline what will be covered today. First, I'll cover next week's American Community Survey data release and our upcoming releases in early 2021. Then, I'll turn it over to Charles, who will give a brief overview of the American Community Survey and cover what's changed since last year. He'll also walk through various tools used to access our products and where on our website you can find much of the information covered in today's webinar. After a question and answer session, Tyson will demonstrate how to access block group level data in our data dissemination platform, Data.census.gov. Please note that for the question and answer session, we will give priority for questions to journalists who are preparing news stories for this release. We ask that others who have questions hold them into the second round of Q&A, which will follow the Data.census.gov block group demonstration. Next Tuesday, the 2015 to 2019 ACS 5-year data will be available for early access embargo ahead of the public release next Thursday. These estimates cover the 2015 through 2019 time period for all geographic areas regardless of population size. Our media embargo will be available Tuesday, December the 8th at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Also available through our embargo site for approved media will be products on Data.census.gov. Please visit the press kit link provided on this slide to find the 5-year data products available for media. Our public release will be Thursday, December 10th at 12:01 Eastern Standard Time. This will include all 5-year products such as the comparison profiles, subject tables, publications, and visualizations. Also released on the 10th will be our narrative profiles that are available through the ACS website. Existing tools like the API, QuickFacts, and My Tribal Area will be updated with the new 5-year data. Specific for this 5-year release, we have products that highlight a few of the more than 40 social, economic, housing, and demographic topics, including education, income, poverty, gross rent, and language characteristics. with a focus on comparison of 3 sets of non-overlapping years, which are 2005 through 2009, 2010 through 2014, and 2015 through 2019. Topics will include income, poverty, education, and home ownership. To highlight 5-year trends, we will have several interactive visualization tools that will show data at the county level. Please note the visualization on the screen is from the 2019 one-year ACS release, since we cannot yet reveal 5-year data. While the focus right now is on our 5-year release, I want to take the opportunity to promote several products that will be coming out soon that are also part of this data release season. The 2015 through 2019 ACS 5-year Public Use Microdata Sample, or PUMS, and Variance Replicate Estimate Tables will be available on January the 14th, 2021. The ACS PUMS files are a set of untabulated records about individual people or housing units. PUMS data are made available to data users at the nation, region, state, and public use microdata areas, referred to as PUMAs, geographic levels. PUMAs are non-overlapping geographies which contain at least 100,000 people. These files allow data users to create custom tables that are not available through pre-tabulated ACS data products. PUMS data can be found on the Census Bureau's File Transfer Protocol, or FTP server, or through the microdata tool available on Data.census.gov. Finally, the Variance Replicate Estimate Tables allow data users to calculate margins of error, which include the covariance term when combining ACS estimates within a table or between geographies. Now, let me turn it over to Charles, who will tell you more about the American Community Survey and next week's release on December the 10th. Over to you, Charles.
Thank you, Leslie. As stated, my name is Charles Gamble, and I work in the American Community Survey's Office, Outreach and Education Branch. So before we dive into information on the release coming next week on December 10th, I first want to go over some basics about the American Community Survey for maybe some of those who aren't as familiar with the survey itself. And I also do want to point out that while I am speaking, if you have any questions, the chat feature is open, and please put any of your chat questions into the chat box, and we have staff standing by to help you with any questions you may have. All right, so first, the American Community Survey is the nation's most current, reliable, and accessible data source for local statistics on critical planning topics. The survey samples approximately 3.5 million addresses, and these data are collected continuously throughout the year to produce annual social, economic, housing, and demographic estimates. The data collected by the ACS is also used to distribute more than $675 billion of federal government spending each year, as well as countless non-federal uses. The estimates derived from the ACS cover more than 40 topics, which include veterans, commuting, education, income, and much more. And I'll be actually covering more ACS topics on the next slide. We also release 3 different sets of estimates each year in the form of one-year estimates for geographic areas with a larger population of 65,000 or more, our one-year supplement estimates for geographic areas with a population of 20,000 or more, and our 5-year estimates for geographic areas of all sizes, including small population groups. Now, the content collected by the American Community Survey can be grouped into 4 main types of characteristics. So we have our social, our demographic, economic, and housing. So let's take a quick look and dive into these categories. So under the social characteristics, we have topics which include disability status, education, language spoken at home, and others. The American Community Survey also collects basic demographic characteristics such as sex, age, race, and Hispanic origin. Economic characteristics include such topics as commuting to work, employment status, income, and others. And our housing characteristics include topics such as computer and internet use, housing costs, vehicles available, and more. Now, these topics are used to produce more than 1,000 tables each year, and they power countless news stories every day. And we do want to send a special thank you to our media partners who use ACS data to power their stories every day as well. So in addition to the 40-plus topics the ACS collects data on, another strength of the ACS is the number of geographies available. The ACS provides data from a national level all the way to your local community. Our survey provides data for more geographies on an annual basis than any other household survey. Now, the 5-year data release includes more than 579,000 geographic areas, and these geographic areas even go as granular to the census tract and block group levels. And there are 87 different summary levels available for the 5-year estimates. Now, unlike the 1-year ACS releases, geographies in the 5-year release do not have a particular population threshold in order to be published. So geographies included in the 5-year release consist of the nation, all states, which include D.C. and Puerto Rico, all metropolitan areas, all congressional districts within the 116th Congress, all counties and places, all tracts, and block groups. And I will say block groups are the smallest level of geography produced by the American Community Survey. Now let's cover some guidance specifically for the 5-year estimates. So first, it's important to understand the concept of period estimates because all ACS estimates are in fact just that, period estimates. So period estimates describe the characteristics of an area over a specific time period, not a single point in time like the decennial census. In the case of the ACS 1-year estimates, the period is 12 months. The estimates in the 5-year release are pulled together across 60 months to create 5-year data. And 5-year estimates are not an average of the 1-year ACS estimates. Now, the release of the 5-year data next week will describe the population and housing characteristics from January 1st, 2015 through December 31st, 2019. After the data are pulled together, they are updated with geographic boundaries of the last year of the period, which in our case for this year's 5-year release will be 2019, and then assign the appropriate weights to produce population and housing estimates. Weights are adjusted using the population housing totals controls for age, sex, race, and Hispanic origin, which are derived from the Census Bureau's Population Estimates Program. Also, income and dollar estimates are then adjusted for inflation based on the most recent year of the period, meaning the latest 5-year estimates releasing next week are adjusted to 2019 dollars. Now, a question you may be asking is, when should I be using 5-year estimates? That's a great question. So you want to use 5-year estimates when no 1-year or 1-year supplemental estimate is available. So please remember, 1-year estimates cover geographic areas with a population greater than or equal to 65,000. Or there are supplemental tables available for populations of 20,000 or more. But if you're seeking a geography that does not meet these population thresholds, you would then need to rely on the 5-year estimates. Another instance when you will want to use the 5-year estimates is when the margins of error for the annual estimates are larger than desired. So a margin of error is a measure of sampling variability that is presented along with all ACS estimates. So for example, 5-year estimates are helpful when analyzing small population groups because of the higher margins of error associated with them. Also, if you're comparing several geographies and one or more of those geographies do not receive 1-year estimates, let's say due to the small population size, you will have to use 5-year estimates to compare those geographies. Now, another area I'd like to point out is comparing 5-year estimates. So if you're actually interested in comparing 5-year data, we encourage you to make comparisons only with non-overlapping data. So this year you can compare the 2015 through 2019 5-year data with 2010 through 2014 5-year data. So these non-overlapping data sets will allow you to compare unique data. Also, only compare estimates of the same data set. So for example, compare 1 year with 1 year and 5-year with other 5-year non-overlapping data. So please do not compare 1-year estimates with 5-year estimates. And as stated on the previous slide, 5-year estimates are helpful when comparing across geographies because all geographies are represented in the 5-year estimates, as opposed to 1 year where there's a population threshold of at least 65,000 on geographies. For example, all counties are available in the 5-year in the 5-year regardless of the population size, and this cannot be said for the 1-year estimates. Similarly, 5-year estimates are also great for making comparisons across subpopulations, such as ancestry and language groups. I'd also like to point out, and toot our horn, so to speak, that with the 5-year release next week, the ACS has reached the milestone of releasing 3 non-overlapping 5-year data sets. So we now have the 2005 through 2009, the 2010 through 2014, and the 2015 through 2019 5-year data sets. So this allows for clean trend data for small groups and small geographies. So next week on release day, the Census Bureau will publish an ACS America Count story highlighting this very achievement. And one more note, when making comparisons, percent estimates are often more reliable than the count estimates they are based on. When a population estimates program estimate is available, such as the total population of number of females in a county, the population estimates program estimate is the official value and preferred. However, ACS count estimates may also be compared if the needs of the data user requires it. So that wraps up the basics of the American Community Survey and the 5-year estimates. So now let's talk what's been updated for this new 5-year release coming next week. So before we discuss specific tables, data users should note that there were 2 major changes to content that impacted data products. So first, we have the question for relationship to householder was updated based on the results from the 2016 American Community Survey content test. The content test itself periodically reviews the content of the ACS to ensure the survey stays relevant as society changes and federal agency data needs evolve. The ACS now collects specific information about whether a household member is the opposite sex spouse, opposite sex unmarried partner, same-sex spouse, or same-sex unmarried partner of the householder. Collection of this detailed information addresses known data quality issues and improves the measurement of same-sex couple households. In addition to the new detailed information regarding spouse and unmarried partner households, the ACS no longer includes the rumor/border category. As a result, tables for this topic have been updated to reflect this change. All tables that include relationship to householder have been similarly updated. Data users may refer to the link at the bottom of the slide for the full list of modified tables. And data users should refer to the user note titled Revisions to the Relationship to Householder Item for more details. And you can actually find the user note at the bottom link on this slide. Second, multiple categories for means of transportation were updated in 2019 as shown on this slide. Consequently, the vast majority of the tables that were modified under Topic 08 were modified so that road labels now use the updated categories. To learn more about changes for this topic, please refer to the user note titled Changes to the Means of Transportation question. And you can find the user note at the link on the bottom of this slide as well. Subsequent slides about specific new, modified, and deleted tables will cover greater details about products impacted by the means of transportation and relationship to householder updates. So now we cover content changes. Let's discuss changes to specific data products. So this year we have the 4 new detail tables covering household and families, the foreign-born population, and quality measures. We also have 1 new subject table for health insurance. Household and families, within household and families, table B11008 provides information about cohabiting couples that reside with children under 18 and never married, which consisting of biological children, stepchildren, or adopted children of the householder. B11012 shows the presence of relatives and own children under 18 years by the following types of households: married couple, cohabiting couple, female householder, no spouse or partner present, and male householder, no spouse or partner present. For the foreign-born population, Table B05015 provides data for the year of entry among the foreign-born population for the 9 largest country of birth groups. This table shows data for year of entry 2010 or later and for year of entry before 2010. And for quality measures, we've added a new quality measures table, Table B98003, unweighted total population sample, This is a new table available for nation, states, counties, and places. So if you're interested in the information provided on each of these slides, please use the web address below to access these tables. In addition to new tables for this year's release, we also have modifications that cover a wide variety of topics. So first, regarding quality measures, improved disclosure avoidance has also been applied to tables B98001 and B98002. For the foreign-born population, 5 additional country of birth groups were added to table B05006, and a row label was updated from Macedonia to North Macedonia. Now, regarding educational attainment, subject table S1501 now includes the estimates for high school graduate or higher and bachelor's degree or higher for the total, male and female population 25 years and older. So earlier we noted that multiple categories for means of transportation were updated in 2019. As a result, most of tables beginning with IDs listed here had rows modified to reflect the new categories. For example, detail table B08006 now shows updated categories such as long-distance train or commuter rail and worked from home. The full list of modified tables is too numerous to show on this slide, but data users can refer to the Table and Geography Changes page link at the bottom of the slide for the full list of affected tables. Now, there were a number of tables that were also modified to incorporate the new data collected from the updated relationship to householder question. Some tables had changes to family and non-family lines. Rows in detail table B09005 for family and non-family households were eliminated. A row for cohabiting couple households was added. Detail tables B09019 and B09020 were modified to no longer differentiate between people living in family and non-family households. Other tables had changes to spouse and partner lines. Rows were added to B09019, B11009, and B12504 to provide more detailed data for spouse and partner estimates. Table B13004 was modified to focus on the presence of a spouse or partner in the household rather than on a marital status. So on the previous slide, we noted that the title for B11009 had been updated. The next 2 slides show the full list of tables that had changes to titles in 2019 by topic and table ID for households and families, fertility, and journey to work. And as you can see, journey to work titles were modified to remove leaving home and from home. And for our last update on content, we have 4 tables that we will no longer be available starting this year. So B00001 and B00002 have been deleted for this year. Data users can use B98003 and B98001 as alternatives. For more information about these changes, refer to the user note titled Discontinuation of Tables B001, 001, B00002, and K200001 and K20002. Now, detail tables B09008 has also been deleted, and table B09021 is available as an alternate for that table. Now, most of the table modifications this year were related to the update to the relationship to householder, as well as changes in means of transportation. You can access the full list of the 5-year table changes on our website by following the link provided on the bottom of the slide. All right, so let's move into what data products are available for next week's release and how to actually access the new 2015 to 2019 5-year data. So before we specifically dive into how to access the data, let's first go over the products that will be made available for the 5-year release. So on the slide, the number in parentheses next to the product name is the number of products available in this release. So data profiles show both estimates and percentages for a particular geography on a variety of topics in one table. There are 4 profiles for social, economic, housing, and demographic characteristics. And there's also a selected social characteristic profile for Puerto Rico. So that'll give us 5 data profiles. Comparison profiles, which are identical to data profiles, but offer comparisons of data profile estimates across different ACS years, providing side-by-side data from 2 different 5-year periods. So, for example, comparing 2015 through 2019 versus 2010 through 2014. This product allows you to compare estimates over time. Subject tables, also like data profiles, but these tables include more detailed ACS data classified by topic. So these tables are topic specific. And detail tables, which contain estimates and margins of errors only organized by topic, and are the most detailed tables in the products package. All the products I just covered will be made available through Data.census.gov. Other products, such as the narrative profiles, can be found on the actual ACS website at census.gov/ACS, and will be made available on Thursday, December 10th. Also on December 10th, data tools like the Census API, QuickFacts, and My Tribal Area will contain 2015 through 2019 5-year ACS data. The Census Business Builder tool will also be refreshed with the 5-year ACS data in early January. Now, as you all may know, Data.census.gov is the primary platform to access data from the Census Bureau. So it will actually include data for the next week's release coming up on December 10th. And Data.census.gov will contain most of the data products and data that you seek. So later in today's webinar, Tyson Weister will demonstrate how to access the 2019 5-year data using Data.census.gov, as well as show you how to find the more granular levels of geography, such as block groups, available in the 5-year data. You can also visit the link at the bottom of the slide to find resources on Data.census.gov, such as FAQs, how-to materials, video tutorials, and much more. And then this webpage is actually a great resource for learning how to use Data.census.gov and the other tools associated with it, like the microdata tool. So as you may recall, just 2 slides ago, I did mention the narrative profiles. So I want to point out that this product will be available on release day, but the difference is narrative profiles are not made available in Data.census.gov. However, these profiles are made available on the ACS website. So to provide some context, the 5-year narrative profiles is one of our more popular products, and it is a pre-generated report that describes a geographic area by providing text as well as graphics for roughly 15 different ACS topics. So if wanted, a user can choose to produce a report on all 15 topics or simply a subset of topics for their selected geographies. Now, narrative profiles help novice users to interpret the data they actually find, and on this slide are some topic examples of what can be found in narrative profiles. And you may notice that these images have the 2014 to 2018 5-year data, but on Thursday, December 10th, the narrative profiles will be updated to the 2015 to 2019 5-year data. And also, a link to where narrative profiles can be found is provided here at the bottom of the slide. So we mentioned about the 5-year summary file being available next week during our embargo period, but the summary file is a tool that is available to all users on the official release day of December 10th. So the summary file includes estimates and margins of error from all the detail tables and geographies that are published for the ACS in a downloadable format. The summary file contains all ACS detail tables and comma delimited text files, and tables are stored in what we call sequences, which are basically series of files that have to be merged together to construct one complete table. You can access the data as well as supporting documentation for the summary file by visiting our website at the link provided on this slide. And if you try to access the summary files during the embargo period, which is for approved media only, you will need to access it through the press kit link that was actually provided earlier when Leslie was talking, and it was provided on the slide 4. Another tool available to access ACS data is the API. which stands for the Application Programming Interface. So this tool presents data in a standardized way, and by standardizing the API query language across multiple data sets, the learning curve for developers is reduced. So researchers and developers from both inside and outside Census actually use the API because of its simple format and use the API to access Census Bureau data within programs and applications. So with the API, you can select any variable in multiple data sets and place them in a raw format for the format of your choice. Now, the API includes many Census Bureau data sets, including the ACS 1-year and 5-year data sets, as well as the ACS migration flows and supplemental data. To learn more about the API, you can view our webinar titled Using the Census API with the American Community Survey on the ACS website, and that actually can be found on at the bottom link on this slide as well. Now, earlier I mentioned several of our data tools will also be updated with the 2015 through 2019 ACS 5-year data. So Quick Facts and My Tribal Area are scheduled to be updated on Thursday, December 10th. So Quick Facts is a quick, which hence the name, and easy-to-use application that shows tables, maps, and charts of our most frequently requested information from more than 10 census surveys and programs. And Quick Facts does provide data for geographic areas with populations of 5,000 or more. My Tribal Area has a similar look and feel to, of My Congressional District for those of you who have used that tool. But My Tribal Area gives 5-year ACS characteristic estimates for tribal areas across the U.S. So if you're looking for data on areas such as tribal reservations, trust lands, etc., this is a good tool to use to find information quickly. Also in January, we will have the 2015 through 2019 ACS data implemented into the Census Business Builder. And actually, let me explain the Census Business Builder a little bit more. The Business Builder is actually a mapping tool geared towards users needing data to help start or grow a business or to better understand an area's business landscape. So there are 2 editions of Census Business Builder. We have the small edition as well as the regional analyst edition. You can actually access these tools and more by visiting the census.gov and then clicking on Explore Data, then click Data Tools and Apps, and we did provide that URL here for you at the bottom of the slide. All right, so now that we've discussed the products for this release and where you can find them, I'd also like to show you where you can find some helpful information and documentation about the ACS. The best place to find information on the ACS is from the ACS website at census.gov/ACS. And the tabs at the left of the homepage, as shown on the slide, help guide you through the many different sections of the website. And this includes news and updates, data, guidance for data users, technical documentation, and so on. Speaking on the ACS website, I do want to take a moment to highlight a few useful pages for the actual data release. So the data releases section under news and updates provides a variety of information specific for this release all in one place, such as the release schedule and the table changes that we covered a bit earlier. And we also point out that what's new and notable for each release in the section as well. Another notable section is on the ACS website is a section containing the ACS handbooks. Handbooks are provided in PDF format and are downloadable. Each handbook is directed towards a specific audience and contains how-to instructions for using data in different ways or for different reasons. And each handbook also contains case studies showing actual instances of the American Community Survey data and how it was used by specific audiences that are specified in the handbook. I'd like to note that the staff have recently worked very diligently to update the handbooks, and all handbooks but one have been updated, and the remaining handbook, which is the American Indian and Alaska Native, is nearing completion as well. We also have a number of training presentations, and each presentation contains a video of the training along with a copy of the PowerPoint slides and a transcript of the presentation. So the training presentations are a great way to train yourself or others on specific topics as they relate to the American Community Survey. Our training presentations cover a variety of topics, including the introductions to the ACS, using the Census API with the ACS, and you can also view our 2019 one-year pre-release webinar that was performed back in September for the 2019 one-year release. Next is our technical documentation page. In the left navigation bar, there is a list of important documentation that will help you better understand the ACS data, including code lists, definitions, and accuracy. Now, this page contains detailed codes and definitions for variables, statistical testing, and an explanation of sample design, methodology, and accuracy of the survey. We also have the table and geography changes, and this page covers changes to tables and geography for each data release. And we also have the table shelves and table list. This allows you to view the layout of ACS tables with estimates and margins of errors filled in, as well as a list of containing information about each table, such as the table IDs, table titles, the table universe, and so on. Now, since the ACS questions and content do change over time, if you are interested in making comparisons, please refer to the comparison guidance documentation on the ACS website. Comparisons over time become tricky because of the questionnaires changes and different universe definitions. So when trying to make comparisons, it is important to reference this page first to make sure the data you are interested in should actually be compared. For example, the definitions for urban and rural change every 10 years, so they are different in the 2011 to 2015 than they were in the 2006 to 2010 data. Now, it is suggested that you use caution when making past year comparisons. On that note, when you are using ACS data and making comparisons between years or between geographies, we also want you to make you certain that estimates are statistically different from one another. With that said, we provide the statistical testing tool to help you out. So the tool can be found under the Guidance for Data Users section, then by selecting the Statistical Testing tool on the left navigation. For media, a link will actually be provided in the press kit, and once again, the press kit link is on slide 4. Now I'll turn it back over to Leslie for our first round of questions.
Thanks, Charles. Before we take questions, I want to let you know that today's presentation will be available very shortly through the press kit section of the newsroom on census.gov. An archived version of this webinar and transcript will also be posted within the next few days. Now, we're going to pause and take questions before we move on to our next topic on how to access block group data on Data.census.gov. First, we'll take calls from media. We ask that you state your name and media affiliation when you ask your question. We want to give all media an opportunity. Therefore, we will allow one question with one follow-up. And with that, operator, let's open the line for questions.
Thank you. We will now begin the question.
Sorry, operator.
We will now begin the question and answer session. If you would like to ask a question, please press *1, unmute your phone, and record your name clearly. Your name is required to introduce your question. If you need to withdraw your question, press *2. Again, to ask a question, please press *1.
While we wait for questions, we invite you to stay in touch by telling us how you use data from the American Community Survey. For example, have you or your organization used the ACS to make an important decision, help your community, or expand a business? Please visit the link at the bottom to share your story and explore how data enthusiasts across the country are using ACS data in creative ways. Recently, we highlighted how the St. Joseph Community Health Foundation in Indiana uses ACS data to identify populations in need to better allocate their grant funding. Your stories highlight the value of the American Community Survey. We also want to let you know about the ACS Data Users Group. The ACS Data Users Group is a great way to learn from your peers about how to use ACS data for all kinds of applications. Membership is free and open to all interested data users. There are currently more than 2,700 group members. Also, you can learn more about the ACS Data Users Group Conference scheduled for May 19th through 20th, 2021. Please visit the Data Users Group website at acsdatacommunity.prb.org for more information. The deadline for submitting abstracts is coming up on Monday, December the 14th. As we begin our question and answer session, please remember to speak clearly. Since we are completely virtual, we ask that you try your best to limit background noise. Operator, are there any questions queued at this time?
Yes, our first question comes from Jordan Bailey, freelance reporter. Your line is now open.
Hello, thank you. I was curious if the new 5-year data set will be available to use through the microdata custom table tool. And I also was curious if you might not be able to go into this right now, but for any guidance on how to determine margin of error using that tool. Thanks.
Hi, this is Tyson Weister. I work on the communications team for Data.census.gov as well as the microdata access on Data.census.gov/MDAT. With this 5-year release, the focus of today is on the aggregate tables. The microdata is coming up in a future release that will be included on MDAT. Currently on MDAT, we don't have the ability to calculate margins of error on the site, but you can use the raw files from the FTP site that the ACS puts out and calculate the margins of error using your own statistical software.
Thanks.
Operator, do we have additional questions?
I'm showing no further questions at this time.
Thank you, and please remember, you can also use the chat box to ask any questions. We'll have another Q&A session at the end of today's webinar, but now let's move into our next section, using Data.census.gov. Presenting this section and providing a walkthrough of Data.census.gov, as well as resources for this tool, is Tyson Weister from the Center for Enterprise Dissemination. Over to you, Tyson.
Great, thank you. And thank you all so much for sticking around for the demo on Data.census.gov. We're going to show today how to access data at the block group level using our site. And specifically, we're going to pull up some data for King County, how to look at sex by age for all block groups in King County, Washington. But before we get there, just in case a block group or census tract is new to you, to kind of supplement what we've talked about already, of course, it's the lowest level of geography from the American Community Survey and the closest equivalent to getting data at the neighborhood level. So to help visualize that, we've handpicked a couple of those geographies from King County. If you've ever visited the Space Needle, you've actually been in the census tract and block group that's shown on the screen here. So on the left-hand side, you're looking at census tract 71. That is based on population. They have about 1,200 to 8,000 people in a particular census tract. And then each census tract is subdivided into one or more block groups. In this case, you're looking at census tract 71 having block group 1 and block group 2 being stated on the screen here. Those block groups have, generally speaking, between 600 to 3,000 people. Another way of looking at this is through the equation on the right-hand side, where you can see that the population of block group 1 and block group 2 total to the population of the census tract. So let's go ahead and show you some tips on how you can access this on Data.census.gov. On the live site here, we're going to pull up. You'll put in your URL, Data.census.gov, and press Enter. And we do recommend using Google Chrome. Before I get started, just a couple of notes. We do have block group data on the site from the 2009 to 2013 ACS 5-year vintage and future releases. I do have step-by-step slides that go through the process that we're working on. You'll have that as a resource to look at. And then we'll be using data from the 2018 for this demonstration, but the 2019 data have not been released just yet. So if you want to look at sex by age for all block groups in King County, the first step to downloading this is to find your data table. Then you'll add your geography and download the data. My favorite place to start this process is to click on the advanced search link. And then this will take you to our page. On the left-hand side, you can use these filters to start your search process and add in criteria to help find the table it is that you're looking for. You're always looking for a checkbox as a final selection. Any words and phrases without checkboxes give you more detailed options to choose from. And if you want that block group data, you want to go ahead and specify the American Community Survey to help narrow your results. You can click on Surveys on the left-hand side and look for ACS 5-year estimates detailed tables. The detailed tables are the only ACS table type that are available at the block group level. So narrowing that down right up front helps get you where you need to go. You'll check the box and see it's been added to the bottom of your screen as a selected filter. Next, you can go ahead and specify your year to make sure you're getting the most recent data. Just click Years on the left. I'm going to choose 2018 for this demonstration. Of course, you'll choose 2019 next week. And then we can add in a topic. I wanted age and sex data, so we'll click on Topics. I see populations and people. And then I see a checkbox for age and sex. I had left off with selecting these 3 different search criteria. It's at the bottom of my screen as selected filters. And once you're happy with what you have, again, right now we're just trying to find the data table. We click Search in the lower right, and then Tables in the upper left. And then once you've gotten here, you get different results you can look through. You can click between the different table titles to show what data that has to offer. In this case, the very first table title, Sex by Age, has what it is that we're looking for, total population, as well as the total number of males and their age breakout, as well as females and their age breakout. Now, we haven't specified a geography, so we'll get data for the United States to start, but we can add in our block groups in King County. You just click on the filter button on the left-hand side, and you'll see a filter for geography. So we'll go ahead and click that. We want data for block groups in King County, so we choose block groups, and then we fill out the prompts. Choose our state of Washington, choose King County, Washington, and then you'll see the checkbox, all block groups within King County, Washington. Check the box. And as I mark that, the background table are being updated. So we go ahead and click the chevron in the upper right that says Done once we're done selecting our geography. Now, the reason that we waited till the end to select the geography, in this case, the table is too large to display on screen due to the number of geographies that we've selected, but it gives us the option to download. Now, we already know this table has information we're interested in, so the process to download is very straightforward. Click Download Table, confirm the year, 2018, and then choose Download. You'll want to let the progress bar load up to 100% and click on Download Now. And of course, you'll be using Google Chrome, so you'll have this zip file in the lower left of your browser, and you'll just click on that once to open up that zip file. And then from here, you just want to open up the file that has data with overlays in the naming convention. I'll double-click it to open it up. And you'll get a file that looks like this. Each geography has its own row, and as you follow across the row, we can see data for that geography, for total, the margin of error, and all of the other nice estimates that you saw on the table display of Data.census.gov are here in a raw format without any special formatting or indentation. This is a great file format if you want to map or sort the data off of the site. So with that, let's go ahead and talk about some final notes before we open it back up for questions. One thing you may have noticed on the site, there is a checkbox that seems to allow you to select all block groups in a state. As you can see, all block groups in Washington. We are still working on the technical aspect to enable that for ACS data tables. Right now it works for 2010 decennial tables only. If you try to use it for ACS, what this means is you'll get a download failed error message, but the workaround is pretty easy. You just use the lower level county-based selections. So you can see in the middle of my screen, I have a selection filled out for all block groups within Washington's 39 counties. And even better yet, we've put together an FAQ. If you visit the link at the bottom, you can just click on that link and you'll have a quick link to your state with all of the block groups in each county for your state already filled in for you. That will take you to the advanced search page. Another item of note for block groups, you can search for a block group associated with a particular address. And an easy-to-use tool is the Census Bureau's geocoder. The link at the bottom also has an FAQ that walks through this process step by step in case you need assistance finding your block group. What we showed today is the official way to access data. We're only continuing to make it better and better based on your feedback, so please let us know how we can improve by emailing us at fedsci.feedback@census.gov. And what we showed today was a very focused demonstration on accessing ACS data at the block group level. For more educational materials, visit the link in the upper left for a comprehensively a set of resources in a variety of formats that walk through how to use the site. And with that, we'll go ahead and transition back over to Leslie.
Thank you, Tyson. We have a few more minutes for questions. We'd also like to open up the line for non-media questions at this time. When you ask your question, we ask that you state your name and your affiliation or outlet. Because we want to give everyone an opportunity, we'll allow just one question and one follow-up per caller. As a reminder, please remember to speak clearly and limit background noise if possible. Operator, please start queuing the calls.
Thank you. And as a reminder, please press *1, unmute your phone, and record your name if you have a question. And if you need to withdraw, press *2. Our first question comes from Misuko Herrera. Your line is now open.
Thank you. I am with Montgomery County, Maryland. I think that there were responses to my question placed in the chat, but just generally, looking at the broadband and internet data, at the census block group level, what we're trying to do is to be able to correlate the number. So if we have the data set of the number of households that don't have broadband at home or the projection, what we're looking to do is to drill down and determine by census block group, in that block group, what percentage of those respondents who don't have broadband are Latino, Black, or have children under 18, are over 64, or low income. And what we're looking to do is to figure out is there a way to access that data so that we've been using it in mapping, for example, to sort of target where we're adding more public Wi-Fi in libraries that are in serving those block groups. So what we're just trying to do is to find ways to drill down into that data.
Hi, thank you for your question. This is Gretchen from the American Community Survey Office. I think it would be best if we could connect you with one of our subject matter experts offline, and I'll put our email address in the chat. It's acso.users.support@census.gov, and we can connect you with our subject matter folks who work on the broadband internet.
Great, thank you.
Our next question comes from Ping Lu. Your line is now open. Our next question comes from Anthony DeLucia from East Tennessee State University. Your line is now open.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I'm kind of on the learning curve with health geography, and I will download some of these tables, and there are so many columns in them that when I add them to my maps that I've downloaded from Tiger Files, I won't be able to do a join and relate with all the columns. And I was wondering if there are any universal style templates that get rid of the MOEs, because that's so many columns and it takes me a lot of time to have to go wipe those out. Now, there may be some people who know how to do that with macros, but it seems like something that Census could be doing, because there's so many different tables just with a push of a button to get rid of that stuff when you're making the downloads.
Hi, this is Tyson. So from the perspective of Data.census.gov and the downloads that you get, we currently don't have the functionality on the site that allows for customizations to carry over in the download output. There is another file format that allows for customizations, and that's the export, but that will give you output that looks similar to what you see on screen. So I would recommend checking out the export functionality. Otherwise, it's great feedback and a good example of things that we like to have submitted to us at sedsi.feedback@census.gov.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from Francisco Val from Val Consulting. Your line is now open.
Thank you. Thank you for this wonderful presentation, as well as the information that you provide. My question is, can I use these tables directly that can be produced through all these different websites onto a book? And how do I provide the credits?
Hi, Francisco. This is Gretchen. Thank you for your question, and thank you for using our data. You can use our information in your book. I think everything is open and available, and we do appreciate if you can source. I think we have a slide, if you can source the data set you're using. So if it was this one, we would say 2015 to 2019 American Community Survey 5-year estimates. But whatever type of format you're using, if you can at least give credit to the Census Bureau, we would greatly appreciate that.
Okay, so nothing has changed then from before, right? Pretty much.
In terms of being able to use our work in your books?
Yes.
I think that's always been a standard, that you can use our data in your publications.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
And happy holidays.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Our next question comes from Kia McDermott from the County of Riverside. Your line is now open.
Thank you. I have one question is, how can I download all the places within the County of Riverside? Rather than go through before I tried, I only can download within California, but I want to query one more deeper level. How can I do that?
Hi, thank you for your question. This is Tyson from Data.census.gov team. We do not have the functionality on the site for you to get that information specifically at the county level. You would have to download data for all places in California and then pull out the places that you actually need. Again, another great that can be submitted to sedsi.feedback@census.gov for future consideration and improvement.
Thank you.
I'm showing no further questions at this time.
Thank you, operator. We want to make sure that you know about our information resources around the country. We have a network of data specialists who can arrange free trainings or provide data assistance. Members of the media may contact our Public Information Office for more information. Non-media may use the phone number or email address on this slide. We also have a network of state data centers in every state who can help you understand local census data and census information centers, a network of nonprofit, national, and community groups that helps populations access the data. You can find these on our website at census.gov/SDC. If you have additional questions following today's webinar, please contact us using the information on this slide. You can also connect with us by subscribing to our email alerts, where we share important information about our data releases, visiting our website at census.gov/ACS. Media, please check to make sure your embargo password has not expired. The embargo data will be posted at 10 a.m. next Tuesday, December the 8th. Contact PIO for questions related to the embargo. If you have additional questions or wish to arrange interviews on the topics covered in today's news conference, don't hesitate to call the Census Bureau's Public Information Office at the number or reach us at the email listed on screen. Also, don't forget to source us in your articles so readers know that your stories are powered by ACS data. You can see how to source us on the screen. You can also visit census.gov to sign up for email alerts about upcoming product releases. Additional information about the American Community Survey and this release can be found in our press kit. Please see census.gov and click on Latest News. And finally, we ask that you please fill out the evaluation form. We want to ensure that these sessions are helpful for you. Please check the webinar chat box to easily access the link. If you don't see the chat box, you can find the evaluation linked on this slide. As we conclude, we'll leave this last slide up so you'll have the necessary information to complete the evaluation. And this wraps up today's webinar. Thanks to everyone who joined us today, and a special thank you to Charles and Tyson and the whole ACS team behind the scenes. As a reminder, the data we have discussed today are embargoed beginning December the 8th until Thursday, December the 10th. We look forward to next week's release, and we look forward to your use of ACS data. I'm Leslie Malone, and thanks again for joining us.